Now, one of the main principles of the Sikh faith is seva, or providing service to the community. For Jyotveer Singh from High Wycombe, seva comes in the form of an app which offers anonymous advice and support to those who need it. Jyotveer has spent the last 2 years researching and developing the AnonCare app, and he joins me in the studio now. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's inspired. It's a very creative idea. How did you come up with it?
So in 2010, I was working in the NHS. And as we all know, the NHS is under a huge amount of pressure. It sees over 1 million patients every 36 hours. Waiting times are getting longer. There's less time for people to provide compassionate care. But during that time, I was also visiting a Sikh temple in Birmingham because I was working in the NHS in Birmingham, in the Midlands at that time. And I was visiting a temple, Guru Nanak Nishkam Sevak Jatha on Soho Road. And there I saw the Sevadars, the volunteers, carry out really incredible feats of service. There were young children, even very senior adults, and doing incredible things both locally and internationally without expecting anything in return. And I thought this was hugely powerful. And I thought, how could this resource, how could it be integrated into the NHS to serve others? I was fortunate to meet Dr. Jyotveer Singh, who was the chairman of Guru Nanak Nishkam Sevak Jatha. He's an international interfaith ambassador at UN level, and also the first Sikh to be knighted by Pope Benedict in 2012 for creating interfaith cohesion across the world. And Bhai Sahib inspired me by saying, we need to empower people with values of compassion, love, care, selfless service, ever-ascending optimism. And whether you're faith or no faith, everyone believes in compassion. And to reduce pressures on the NHS, we need to create interdependency in the community setting.
That's a lot to do.
Yes, it is. But Bhai Sahib also told me a story which really, I think, inspired me to do what I'm doing today. They said, there's an old man who's planting seeds of a mango tree. When a passerby stopped and said, why do you plant these seeds, old man? You'll be long gone by the time it bears fruit, and you'll never get to taste the sweetness of these mangoes. And the old man responded, all the mangoes I've eaten in my life were planted by the people before me. So it inspired me with the notion to do such service that even when I'm gone, people are reaping its benefits.
There's a legacy.
It's a legacy, but technology is an enabler and has the ability to often outlast humans. Yes.
And one wouldn't think to use it in this way, but how does it work?
So unlike traditional social networks, you don't have to connect on AnonCare, which is what I developed. You don't have to be someone's friend to see their post. By default, everyone's posts are visible. And this creates a shared responsibility for the well-being of others. So people use a single compassionate feed to anonymously put information about, how they're feeling, any issues that they are having. So
you would post anonymously?
Yes, you can.
Wouldn't say... So how does it identify different users? Do you just sort of have a little avatar, or how does it work?
Yeah, so you upload a photo and avatar. Some people may want to be who they are. So they choose to put their real names. Someone will have an avatar and have a anonymous name. But what it allows others to do is to respond compassionately, and they have an opportunity. How it's helped is, unintentionally, it became international, and people from all over the world started signing up and using it, including China, East Africa, America, US.
So this is people posting, and I'm going to pick issues out of the air, anything from saying that they are depressed, to lonely, to stressed, to just need a lift in there, anything like that?
Yes, so this is exactly what people post. But other people regularly use this feed, I've seen, to put uplifting, positive information, quotes, things that they feel they can inspire someone else. And because there's so many countries involved, it's really a 24-hour approach to care. So when one country sleeps, another one is awake. And our average response time is now 10 minutes.
And what kind of response can you do, or do the users do?
We go beyond the standard like button of social networks. I've added a wish well and offer a prayer button. So someone may say, I have an examination tomorrow, I am worried, or I have lost my job. And people comment and they provide advice. But if you press the wish well button, if you are not of faith, and if you are of faith, you can pray for someone, and they get immediate push notification to their mobile device saying someone, Zainab has prayed for you, or Christian has sent you a prayer. And I think this is very powerful. Someone asked me, can people just pray for someone? Why do they have to press a button? But I believe,
or they can press the button and not do the actual prayer.
Exactly. But I believe, from my faith, I'm informed that the giver is God, and we even when we pray for someone, and if you press it accidentally, for example, the end user will receive that notification, and it will make them feel better. And in our faith, we are informed that just the name of God can eradicate pain and suffering.
Does it exclude? I know you said there is the option as well to just wish somebody well. Do you think it might feel a bit alien to someone who isn't of faith?
Yes. If you are not of faith, you can press the wish well button or provide advice and support. On the desktop version of the system I've developed, so when you go to the website anoncare.com, I've created brain games, mental health games. There is every day the system will ask you, how are you feeling? So you can log in information about your blood pressure, sugar levels. And then what I've done is the system, so it's a secure part of the system, you can then remotely give a username, and a link and a password. It will generate a link and password for you, and your doctor, GP, friend or loved one can check up on you to see how you're doing. So you get the support from the people and the prevention. So trying to reduce waiting times and creating efficiencies for the NHS.
Gosh, that has a very much a practical application as well. How did you think about or come across the fact that there was a need for something like this?
I'm very much faith inspired, and I'm a programmer. And I develop technologies, and I enjoy making different systems and doing different projects. I felt a need for this. I actually piloted it in a small. I created the application first, and it just organically grew since then. I didn't expect for so many people to be using this system, and they have been. So it was a surprise to me as well.
How many users do you have?
A couple of thousand of users, yes, but it's growing every day organically.
And you, I mean, it's a good thing we know that the conversation around mental health and asking for help, excuse me, is getting more public. Only this week we've had the Royals getting involved in this conversation. How far do you think that we've got, and that technology can help with that conversation?
Mental health, I believe, affects everyone. We know it affects everyone. And in our communities, in the Asian communities, people don't talk about it. And it's very much important to do that. We need to be aware that it is a condition. And I'm not a healthcare specialist, but it needs more recognition, more awareness and the more we talk about it, the better it is.
Do you think that stigma is starting to go a bit?
Yes, I do believe so. By virtue of what I'm doing...
I see your hesitation there. There is a big stigma around it, isn't there?
There is. We're slowly working toward... working to remove it, but there definitely is.
And that stigma does exist across all communities. Is that why the anonymous factor in this helps?
Yes. So being anonymous really does help to support you. But traditional social networks like Facebook, there is some research that a lot of people are using it. It's very popular, and I use it myself. But it can cause anxiety and depression. There is a sort of
because you're looking at people saying, "Oh, I'm having a great time in life."
Yeah, and there is that,
and we know that can be exaggerated, of course, as well.
Exactly. So there's a very high benchmark when you see your friends, and people will only post good things. So you just see great things, and you automatically you may feel down about yourself. But
or there's perhaps an embarrassment about posting how you really feel.
Yes. Yeah. And people may not do that. And if they do, they may not get a response. So there's a thing called social highs, where people also get addicted to getting likes. There is a research and evidence that your brain releases a chemical called dopamine, and it's very addictive and dangerous to be addicted to this like culture. And it can be detrimental, but so
do you use social media yourself, apart from AnonCare, obviously? But
very much so. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, I'm Facebooking. I work for a very large university as a digital marketing manager. So I have a day job. I have to do this.
And you, alongside the app, you did research, didn't you, in the local area to asking people about their sort of attitudes to whether they felt stressed or lonely. What kind of things did you find out?
Yeah, so it was actually in 2016. I, like many people in this world, was quite upset with the racial segregation and discrimination that was happening in the US and the wider world. And I wanted to create cohesion. And as part of my faith, I am required, have a duty to take care of other people. I'm responsible because I'm accountable. So I wanted to create cohesion and solidarity in my local area as well. So this is beyond AnonCare. And I started a project called Tears Are the Same. And this was after the saying, our prayers can be different, but our tears are the same. I visited local people of the local community. I asked for their photo and also answer to a question, which is, what is your greatest pain?
Right.
My objective was to show that regardless of what we look like, our appearances, our backgrounds, we all are connected with a common sense of a shared humanity and shared suffering. And we all have a need to alleviate the suffering of others, which is compassion.
And what were some of the key areas that people had concerns around?
So when I spoke to people, and these stories are available at tearsofthesame.com, when I documented these stories, I was joining the dots in my head because I was speaking to people and I thought, wouldn't this person benefit from speaking to that lady who I spoke to a week ago?
Right.
People with complex care needs, people who have had issues in their family. So there are, terrorism, threats of war, floods, financial crisis. These are global concerns. But how many people do we know who, as a loss of a job, loss of a loved one, have been left feeling lonely and isolated with no one to talk to? There is a saying, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a harder battle. And I certainly experienced that by speaking to people. In fact, there was some research done and they said that around 84% of British people have said they felt lonely, 64% know someone that's lonely. And with the application AnonCare that I developed, I just in March did a user study. I asked the people on the application how they their feedback, and it was over 80% had felt an improvement in their overall mood and well-being, and 93% would recommend AnonCare to a friend and family member.
So it's helping them.
It is helping, and Tears
connect.
Are the Same was to create cohesion. So yeah, it's creating interdependence.
Is there? We all know there's a dark side to the internet and social media. Is there a chance that people who wanted to could come on and use it in the wrong way? Because we know that, unfortunately, when people post on Twitter that they are doing something or they've had a loss or something like that, there are trolls out there. There are people who will choose to target them specifically because they've pointed out what could be deemed a weakness in themselves, or they're going through a rough time. How can you stop that from happening on the app?
So that's always a challenge. You can always create the governance around that, the privacy policies and whatever. But that is a genuine issue. I've created specific applications, enablers within the system where you can flag if someone is, harassing you, and their IP will be blocked. They'll never be seen again. However, we do have community admins, which do include GPs and nurses who view the pages regularly and pick up on things.
If people want to find out more, how can they get the details of the app or go onto the website if they want to read some of those stories?
Yeah, so I would encourage everyone to go to tearsofthesame.com, and that's a site which you can see all the stories that I've collected, and also find out about the AnonCare app and download it and start helping others.
What's next for you?
I'm keen to continue to serve. And as long as I'm able to do so, I'm happy. There is a verse in the Quran, the Holy Quran, that says, if you save one life, it is like you have saved humanity. So I feel I'm blessed. I'm able to do this, and I would like to continue to do so.
Must be a lot alongside the day job.
It is, but there's a poem which I really try to live by. It's by Henry Longfellow. He's a US American poet, and he said, the heights of great men achieved and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upwards through the night. And your Asian listeners would know something in Urdu which is quite similar, which is खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से पूछे बोल तेरी रज़ा क्या है. So diamonds are created under pressure. And if you are to serve, you have to be like diamonds.
Jyotveer, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.